is Michael Thurber, photojournalist and sociologist here at VEDA World News. Before we get started, let me first apologize because I do not have on my traditional shirt and tie, as I've been working diligently on the production end and the back work of a couple of websites over the weekend into today. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Karla West, Precinct Chair. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, as he said, I am Karla West. I'm Precinct Chair with Harris County Democratic Party, and my precinct is Precinct 16, which is located in an interesting area, which happens to be most of downtown Houston. So I love it. Prior, I was Precinct Chair of 39, which is over in the Montrose Midtown area, over by the Manil District is what they call it. When I moved downtown, I became Precinct Chair there.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. Houston is a very big place.
Huge.
What are your thoughts on the state of Houston as it stands?
On the state of Houston as it stands.
And specifically within your precinct.
Okay, so I'm going to speak about Houston as a whole, and then I'm going to narrow it down to my precinct.
Okay.
My views on Houston right now is it's in a predicament where we were very, very largely Democratic, very strong Democratic society. I felt that as being what the most, if not the most, close to the most diverse city in the United States, and I'm sure our world ranking is pretty high as well. I took pride in that. I took pride in the fact that we had progressive views on inclusion, on working with people and people working together.
Okay.
However, interestingly so, in the past year and a half, I've seen a decline in that. And I think that the city is moving in a way that that moves away from that inclusivity. I feel that we're moving to a more closed society, but I think that's by design, by some of our recent elected officials. Some of the major areas, the systems that have been for our educational system, our political system, which the government of all the people, some of our other systems, I see that, in my opinion, I think they're declining and moving away from that.
Okay.
Now, going down into the area where I live, downtown Houston, I'm glad to see that it is coming alive. I've been in Houston for right at 40 years now.
Wow.
I've been coming to Houston all my life, always loved the urban environment. But I'm glad to see that downtown Houston is becoming more vibrant. I'm glad to see that that tourism is booming. More things are coming to attract people to come downtown. It's really alive. Okay. It's wonderful. I love to visit other cities and other places, and you see that they have a very thriving tourism, very thriving nightlife, and different things. So I'm glad to see that downtown Houston is moving in that vein. Now, in that, though, there's a conundrum and a sort of paradoxical issue that downtown is thriving and growing and increasing tourism, but I've seen that a lot of people are not happy with all the people that are being attracted to Houston, and that saddens me.
And so when you say things are not the same, it seems like you were speaking in terms of diversity, inclusion maybe?
Well, I think the diversity is booming.
Yes.
The diversity is growing, which is wonderful because more people are moving here to the Houston area because it's a wonderful place to be. The economy, the cost of living,
yes,
it has attracted a lot of people.
It has.
Now, but what I'm seeing is with a lot of native Houstonians, there's backlash. They're complaining about the increase in traffic. They're complaining about people moving here that are not used to. But I'm of the view that if people are coming, let's be more welcoming because they're coming for good reasons. They come because they like what they see. People are not going to pick up and move to an area where they don't want to be. Correct. Or they don't think that they're going to thrive and do better. So I would like to see the city of Houston be more welcoming. And with some areas I have seen, people are not as welcoming, and that saddens me. I've seen it possibly because my children, they are young adults in their early 20s, early and mid 20s, and I'm seeing it among that generation. But
Okay.
I think they just don't understand, and I could be wrong. Maybe they do understand, and they just have to form their opinions. But I think that when I say they don't understand what it takes to keep a city thriving and sustaining where it's going and where it's growing. So with the backlash of, oh, people are just coming here, it's flooding the city, it's too much stuff. I'm not sure if they're getting it. And then possibly with the older generation, which I'm kind of sandwiched in there, you know, I'm glad for my 57, almost 58 years. But with some of the older people, it's like, it's so many people coming in, it's changing the makeup. But I think the makeup of Houston always has been that we are organic, we're thriving, and we're welcoming of all people.
You know, a lot of people take the position that maybe this influx of people, like you're saying, is a very necessary and good thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that it could possibly propel Houston forward, not only in terms of just simply thinking and thought process, but in terms of industrial,
Yes,
progression. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely think so. We're known as the energy capital of the world.
We are.
We're known for the medical center. You know, oil and gas, all of those things we're known for.
Yes.
We're known for the cowboy scene, you know,
Yes,
which is so funny to me because, you know, even though I'm from a small rural town, I love cowboy culture, love country and western. Yes, love country and western music, but I don't consider myself that the typical cowboy, as they say.
Okay.
So when people find out how urban Houston is, I love to tout about how we have, other than New York City, we have more theater seats than anywhere else. Our art scene is just phenomenal with arts and entertainment in all areas, you know, theater, dance, performing arts, visual arts. So we are a city that has so much. Our museums are wonderful. We have a lot to offer here in Houston, and I think people need to celebrate that more. And I believe that as more people come in and we diversify, we get more into those areas, then we'll be more celebrated, as we should.
Now, I see you have the Harris County Democrat symbol.
Yes,
and I know you're very proud of that.
I am.
But I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on the Republicans' move for the congressional map change? What are your thoughts on that? How does that affect your precinct?
Well, one of the ways that it affects my particular precinct is that I have looked at the maps very, very closely. So my precinct resides in a historic, I'm proud to say, Congressional District 18, proudly served by Dr. Sheila Jackson Lee, then Representative Sylvester Turner, you know, Craig Walker, Mickey Leland, Barbara Jordan, whom my father went to TSU with.
Really?
Yes, and so I'm very, very proud of that fact. But it appears, and I have looked at the map, it's very hard for me to ascertain if my precinct will still be in CD 18. It appears that it might go into CD 29.
And what does that mean for you?
So what that means for me is a focal change. I have nothing against CD 29. It's just that for me personally, being able to say that I was a part of CD 18 meant a lot to me personally. I believe that we can have good congressional representation everywhere, but also what that does is it dilutes a lot of power. So in the downtown Houston area, there's a concentration of a lot of Fortune 500 companies.
It is.
There's a lot of things that have the economic structure that's needed. It's not just about people in your congressional district. You have to have that strong economic structure. With the redistricting that Republicans are trying to push down our throats, Just CD18 has lost the airport, Bush Airport, International Airport. So that takes away from the economic structure and a lot of things where you had the companies that reside within your congressional district really supporting it, and it can dilute power because money, whether we want to agree to it or not, it is power.
It is.
So now, with this redistricting, I feel it's unnecessary. And I did, when they came here to Houston, I did testify to the public hearing. The maps had not come out yet.
Correct. They just recently.
They just recently did it. But one of the things that I testified, I felt it was unnecessary, it was unfair, and I felt that it was unjust. The main reason why I felt it was unjust was because congressional maps are typically done every 10 years based on census data.
Correct.
The only reason why I believe they're doing this is because of a mandate from DOJ, the Department of Justice, led by our President Donald J. Trump, that said openly, I want to create 5 seats that are primarily Republican to stack the congressional representation here in this area, because we have such a strong Democratic base, then that's going to dilute the Democratic power. Basically, he thinks ensuring him that he's going to get these 5 extra Republican seats and ensuring him that when the midterm elections come in November 2026, it's going to be a shoo-in and his agenda is going to be completed. We don't know for sure.
Okay.
He may be shooting himself in the foot, because I want to believe that the Democrats here are strong enough to overcome that. Okay. However, I've seen some crazy stuff happen in the past few years that have come up with his agenda. And we look at Project 2025. Project 2025 has been coming on us since the 40s and the 50s. They just rebranded and renamed it. Well, so with the redistricting, that I know it's long.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Maps, we thought it was going to be affecting just the Houston area. When they did release the map, it's affecting the entire state of Texas. So it is packing and stacking the Republican control of the Congress to promote Donald J. Trump's agenda. Okay. And my point is this: why you got to fight so hard, dude? You know that you're potentially going to lose in the midterms because people are upset because they're seeing, you've been saying it, he said it all along what he was going to do, but I don't think it really clicked in our minds, this is what's going to happen. And a lot of people that voted for him didn't think that it would affect them, but it is. So now that we're seeing and people are moving away from that, I'm going to pause because I hear the train.
No, you're fine.
Okay, great. So people are moving away from that, then it's probably going to be a big shift during the midterms, and it may be that Democrats are now in the majority instead of the minority. So to cheat and do that, let's put in some Republican districts so I have more cronies that are going to vote the way he wanted them to vote.
Let's backtrack.
Okay.
You mentioned Project 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you read that particular manuscript? Have you took a look at it? I'm very curious.
I have taken parts of some parts.
Okay. And which parts of the Project 2025 did you kind of read or glance over or were privy to?
I glanced over some of the things about how the educational structure.
Okay.
I looked at the loss of what we typically want to call our entitlement programs.
Such as?
That's there. The entitlement programs that such as SNAP, Medicaid, Social Security. I just kind of glanced at those areas. I didn't want to look too deep because the more I looked, the more upset I became. So let me tell you something. I'm also a licensed and ordained minister, Christian minister, and I have a master's degree, proudly said, from Houston Graduate School of Theology, and a master's degree in Christian ministry and theology.
Okay.
So in my studies, part of my studies was based upon missional areas and looking into church history, but also looking at cultural culture and context within ministry. I read a really, really interesting book that was written by, I think his name is Frank. It's spelled Franke,
Okay.
called The End of the White American Church. Okay, very
Okay.
interesting book. Basically, what that book was talking about, how in the 40s and 50s, how white America started seeing that polls are looking like, the census is looking like they're becoming in the minority, which we have found to be true. They're now largely in the minority. So things were set up to start a rolling thing that was around the Jim Crow era, the end of the Jim Crow era. Civil rights was coming up. So the church decided to take a stance. What can we do to protect our interests? Some of the things that they set up to basically promote their interests wound up backfiring, because a lot of people don't understand that most of the people that are in entitlement program are actually white Americans. So whereas it may have been to dilute and to stop the population growth of minorities, African Americans, Latinos, and such, they found out that a lot of white people were on there. So things began to be set up. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but the point is that it's been growing and progressing and progressing and progressing. So now here we are. Donald J. Trump runs for office. He wins in the first term, which was really, really shocking. And so now he is here again, and I'm thankful that we had Barack Obama to come up and do that. We had Biden that was on the Democratic Party, and I really appreciate all the things that they did. A lot of legislation
Such as?
that one of the things, I'm gonna tell you, one of the things that was I won't say hidden, that Obama did that I really appreciated, was that he brought forth initiatives for fathers. A lot of initiatives he enacted were supporting fathers and families, because he saw that there was a taking away. Fathers were not seen in too good of a light a few years ago, especially African American fathers. But statistics will show you that African American fathers are some of the most involved and fathers that there is. Even though we want to say there's so many deadbeat dads, there are a lot of African American fathers that are very involved. So there was a fathers initiative that Obama put up, but was it largely publicized? No. And I think that was strategic as well. Biden brought about a lot of things. Of course, as a female, I'm glad that Kamala Harris, wonderful, I think one of the best vice presidents that we have had. She came there. But systematically, the things that they put in place now are quietly being wiped out, and some are loudly being wiped out, such as the health care. They like to call it Obamacare, but it's basically health care that everybody has a right to. Everybody should have good health care. Everybody should be able to take care of their health, take care of their families, have economic opportunities to grow, live that what we call the American dream. But I believe that Republicans, for whatever reasons that they want to tout, are getting rid of that. That's really what caused me to become more active. I've always loved politics.
Okay, and I can tell you speak very passionate about the positions and everything like that.
I do. I've always loved politics. I didn't really realize it as being politics. And one of my earliest memories when I was a little girl, about 6 years old, I remember seeing Richard Nixon resigning.
Okay.
And hearing my daddy cuss at the television. and I'm like, what is going on? But I became interested in, why do we have the laws that we have? Why do we have the protections that we have? So that's when I became interested in politics. So cycle up to now, my children are grown. I'm in a position where I can do kind of what I want to do. Empty nester. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to complain about the problem without trying to be part of the solution.
Okay.
So that's why I became a precinct chair. That's why I'm as vocal as I am, because I think people, I want to educate people and help people understand this is how government is run. Just because people are wanting to make you think things are a certain way, people want to make you think your vote does not count, you have a voice. You can vote. You can enact legislation. You do have ways of getting your agenda across. I also think that, and of course, first and foremost, I am a woman of God and I'm going to promote God's agenda. I believe God's agenda is that all of his children, black, white, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, whatever, they should be respected, celebrated, and esteemed for who we all are as brothers and sisters, even regardless as to what religion we ascribe to. Everybody has a right to live the life that they want to live, as long as it is not illegal,
Okay.
as long as it's not hurting someone else. And I think people having different ideas to come, that's wonderful. We not everybody should think alike. Not
But
everybody
here's a
should
challenge
act alike.
question.
Okay.
Challenge question. Being an ordained minister, and that is you, yes?
That is me.
What are your thoughts on abortion?
My thoughts on abortion, interestingly, okay, so one of the things that they said, thou shalt not kill, one of the 10 Commandments. And I believe that life begins at conception. That's what I personally believe.
Okay.
I believe that everyone has a right to life. Okay. So with abortion, I personally would not, I would not abort a child. I have not.
Okay.
But I have, and I know people that have had abortions, and I supported them in their fact of doing it.
How does that
And
work?
let me tell you what. I think that when abortion is legal, then it's represented, and people that choose to go against what I personally believe,
Okay.
based on their personal thoughts about what they feel is best for them, they have a right to do so in a safe manner. Where it is regulated, they can do so safely for whatever reasons they personally have chosen to do so.
But a conservative or a Republican would make the argument that you would be supporting murder, though, in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a true statement, or is it a misrepresentation of your position? I don't know.
I think it's a misrepresentation of my position.
Okay.
Now, I just told you I'm very much pro-life, and I think life begins at conception. So if you abort, you're ending a life.
Correct.
In a way that can be considered as murder. So I had to deal with a conundrum within myself. How do I feel about that? But when I was faced with the facts with some people that I care very much about, wanting to and having abortions, I had to support the fact that they have a right to choose their own life's work, their own
Okay.
life's path.
And I know that this is a very hot button topic issue.
Mhm.
A lot of people simply will not touch it, but VEDA does.
Mm-hmm.
We'll touch any topic, really, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. There's no censorship here.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of felt like maybe people needed to hear your thoughts on something
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
Your thoughts on gays, homosexuality.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, where does that fit in? Not only as a Democrat, but as an ordained minister,
Mhm.
where some people may take issue with that. They may say something to the
Mhm.
effect of, "Hey, well, the Bible says this."
Mhm.
They feel like the perspective of God is this,
Mhm.
and it may be contrary to what you may or may not believe. How do you tackle that?
So the Bible does speak in the Old Testament and the New Testament against people having alternative lifestyles, about homosexuality, and a lot of other types of different lifestyles that people may choose. But it also speaks that God is the judge of the heart, of a person's heart and his intentions. Now, what I personally believe that when we get to heaven, we're going to see a lot of people that identify as gay, transgender, transsexual, people that have had abortions, that are people that have committed all sorts of sins, because we all have sinned
Correct.
and fallen short of the glory of God. I do not believe that a person's lifestyle as gay, straight, having an abortion, committing murder or whatever is a heaven or hell issue.
Okay.
I believe what the heaven or hell issue is in the Christian faith is acceptance as Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior.
Okay.
Now, only God knows that for sure. You can look at how a person conducts their lifestyle. We can make all sorts of judgments, but I've never been a judgmental person. If someone wants to be of a different faith, they have a right to do so. Just like I have a right to stand in my Christian faith. For example, someone that wants to celebrate Yom Kippur, someone that wants to celebrate a Muslim holiday, I feel that they have a right to do so, and I'm glad there are governmental protections for it. But people take Christmas, which I'm like, hey, Christmas and Resurrection Sunday is my big holidays.
Okay.
They won't call that Easter and make it a big old retail. But I can't say anything about it. But, you know, I'm going to get off my high
No,
horse on that.
it is okay.
But people have a right to believe and celebrate their faith as they so choose.
Okay.
That's me. And if you ask me what my views are, yes. But yeah, I think that I look at a person, and these are areas that I have mentioned: homosexuality, abortion. I don't think those are areas that should be legislated by the government, because those are areas that are within a person's personal autonomy and personal right.
Okay.
I do not have the right to condemn you. And the Bible says, therefore, there is no more condemnation, even for ourselves. I am not going to condemn someone for the way that they choose to live their lifestyle, saying that it's not illegal. Now, there are issues. I'm not going to support someone thinking that it's okay to go into bestiality, or I don't think it's okay for someone to have sexual relationships with children. No, that's wrong, and but as far as consenting adults, people have a right to live their lives, and I'm going to love you, and I'm going to celebrate you, and I'm going to respect you as a human being, as I would hope that someone would do me. Now, in my faith, do I see it as a certain way or certain? Yeah, this is what my faith says. This is what I stand. I stand 10 toes down on it. But you as a person, I can love you as a person all day long, and we don't have to agree on. Because you might like broccoli, I might like asparagus. But hey, it's different, but you have a right to do so.
Thoroughly put. Shifting back down to politics, down to the precinct level, industries, employment. What is it looking like for your precinct, and where do you see it going, and what would you like to see happen?
My precinct, in terms of employment and industries, is chock full because it's in downtown Houston.
Okay.
Not a lot of, well, let me restate that. In other precincts, it's not as much so.
Okay.
There is economic depression. There's not that that industry push there to be able to enable people, or there may even be industries that are causing cancer clusters, or there are things.
And that is a big deal in Houston. I mean,
yeah.
A lot of people are saying, hey, I'm living in this place here, in this cancer cluster, and I have now some sort of cancer.
Right.
What would you say to those people? Like, what kind of solutions would you offer them, even to the businesses who may be accused of, increasing the likelihood of people catching cancer, living in these areas? What would you say for that?
So I will speak from the standpoint of a precinct chair, and what I view my role is. My role is to help people be aware of the issues within the precinct, be aware of elections, be aware of the candidates, be aware of basically what's going on that affects them governmentally within their precinct. So as a precinct chair, whatever is affecting my precinct or any other precinct, making people aware of that but mostly encouraging people to speak up and let them know you do have a voice.
Okay.
Okay, and I think that's important. I come from a long line of educators.
Okay.
I worked in adult education for a little while. I worked in education in terms of promoting families and helping families get involved in their children's education. But I believe in education and increasing awareness. And once people become aware that you don't have to accept what's being done to you, then you can. Vote for those people. Know your candidates. Who's coming up for a candidate? They represent your interests. If they represent your interests and they're truly fighting, then some of the things will change. Just like we're seeing over in the cancer cluster that came up in Fifth Ward. There are now things that are going about changing that to help people out and help those issues. And so as a precinct chair, I think that's one of my primary roles, to inform people so they will be educated on what's going on.
Okay. Recently, Governor Abbott, Greg Abbott of Texas, Republican, signed off a law to ban cell phones in school. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so let me talk to that one. And it's really interesting. Like I said, long line of educators. My father, superintendent at one time down in the Winnie Stoll area. Yeah,
Okay.
Even before segregation, he was the superintendent of the black schools there. Was responsible for integrating schools in that area.
Understood.
And so I've had principals in my family, teachers and all sorts, but and even to this day, still some. So when you're in a classroom environment, it is challenging enough to get students' attention where you can put forth a curriculum for them to learn the things that are necessary. With cell phones, it can be very distracting. I don't think cell phones have a place in the school. When my children were in school, and which wasn't just too long ago, I'm up in age, but I had my children later. I did not want them using their, was I gonna call them while I knew they should have been in class paying attention? No. And I know parents say, well, I need to be able to contact my school. Call the school.
This is true.
They should know where your child is. If it's an emergency, there are things set up to be able to contact your child where you can talk to them.
Do you think a lot of parents use that reasoning of an emergency as an excuse?
I do.
Why do you think so?
Let me walk that back.
Okay.
I don't think they use it as an excuse, because excuse puts a negative connotation on it. To this day, with the age of my children, they know if I call, answer. Even if you work, answer. But I try and respect the fact that if I know you're at work, I'm not just gonna call you.
Right.
If I know that you have a job, they're not paying you to be on your job to talk to your mama about what's going on with me. I want to be respectful, so I'm not just gonna call. If it's an emergency or something, yeah, I'll call and they can answer. And I think, thankfully, they both work jobs where they can take a phone call, but I'm not gonna do that. Parents want to be able to have contact with their children. They want to be able to know if their children are okay. Their locator services. Check the location on your child's app and know where they are. You can contact your child.
We took the time to talk to several parents over at HISD. For those who do not know what HISD is, Houston Independent School District. And they stated, hey, I need to know if some kind of school shooter situation happens. And I'm talking to them, listening, and I say, well, if a school shooter situation occurs, you're not going to be able to do anything once you get there anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the perimeter of the fence or something like that. Law enforcement from several agencies are going to be there. What are you expecting to really do if there is a school shooting?
Well, also schools are mandated to have alert systems set
Correct.
up.
And they do, and I believe they do a very good job at alerting parents of what's going on.
Right. So yes, I would say if there was a shooter at my child's school, I would want my child to be able to send me a direct message knowing that yes, my child is okay.
Okay.
I would really like that, but I also have to understand that if there's a school shooter situation, number one, I'm gonna be at that school. I might be on the periphery, but I'm gonna make my way to that school.
Okay.
But knowing that I cannot put my child in danger with trying to send a message to me or whatever. Case in point, the Uvalde issue.
Yeah.
They have so many children that they call their parents. The children are making the 911 call. It shouldn't be that way. And I want to believe, and I know in some areas legislation has been set up and steepened to make sure that children are more protected while they're in school.
Understood.
Which is sad that they shouldn't have to be, but it's a possibility. But we have to trust the system, the alert system, okay, to notify us.
Well, I tell you, this was a very good conversation here. We're going to start wrapping things up.
Okay.
Where can people find you? Is it any Instagram or Facebook or social media or something like that? I know quite sure they can get down to their nearest precinct chair to find you.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people find you?
So if you go to the Harris County Democratic Party website, you can go and you can find who your precinct chair is. Our contact information is in there. I have been lax in setting up. I have so many different emails because of my personal business. I also work as a mediator, arbitrator, and life coach, and a divorce coach. So as I have a lot of different
things.
I know.
It's a lot of hats.
Yes. So, but I still use my personal email. So my personal email is kfwest512@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook under Francine. I know it's my middle name.
It's
crazy because Facebook took my account away that was under KF West. But you can look me up as Karla with a K, and you'll see me. I do have a presence on Facebook. I have an Instagram. I'm not into Twitter and TikTok. It's just that's just not my thing.
Understood.
But also, again, if you want information to be able to contact me and ask me a question about such and such, you can go to Harris County Democratic Party website. I'm in Precinct 16. There's 0016. And my contact information will be there. And of course, again, that kfwest512@gmail.com.
Well, my name is Michael Thurville. This is VEDA World News, sociologist and photojournalist, and I appreciate you watching. See you next time.